We are back. Bears Nation Podcast Tuesday Night Therapy. Myself, Kevin Lapka, alongside the man, the myth, the legend, Kellyn Gerenstein. It's been a couple weeks, almost like a month now since we've done one of these, and a lot has transpired with the Chicago Bears in that period of time. And I think now more than ever, the glorious fans of this fan base, the ones who let this team and this franchise dictate their mood in their life way more than they should, they need some therapy, man. They need to let it out. You know, tough loss to your storied rival, a lot of narratives on the internet. They got to let it out, Kellyn, and we're here to do that. How we doing, my man?
I'm good, my brother. I feel good. We talked about it a little last night in the show with Jake, but the franchise is in a losing state right now, but it is in a better losing state than any losing state before. So, talk about it.
And a better losing state than any team in the NFL. Let's make that incredibly clear as well, right? I mean, they are in the best position of any team that is, three. There's no other team that's 3-10, but any other team that only has 3 wins or 4 wins, things are okay. We're feeling good, and I honestly, I said, a lot of these Bears fans probably need therapy, but I honestly do think most Bears fans at this point, do understand the situation, are pretty accepting of the fact that, hey, we're going to be we're obviously bad this year. That doesn't mean much because of what we've built, and the foundation is there, especially with the quarterback. And I do think a lot of Bears fans are actually relatively positive and happy about the future and what's to come.
Yeah, and for a good reason, as they should be. I mean, we have eyes, right? We see Justin Fields, and we see the things that he's doing and the mistakes that he is starting to avoid that are becoming less and less apparent, the good things that we're seeing him put together on a week-to-week basis. And, things just get better every week at this point. There was a point, probably right before the Falcons game, which would have been the Lions, where you could say that each week Justin Fields played his best game of his career, the season, if not his career, for the last, however far back the Vikings game goes. So this is a good point. This is a really good point.
It's a great point. So do you want to, let's start this off with a game, all right? Because I was on the train and I was thinking about something, and I got a little bit of a proposition, a little game for you. The viewers can chime in as well. I'm Scox already in the chat as usual. Appreciate that, guy. As always, popping in here, enjoying us on his Tuesday night, probably doing homework or whatever. Got us on in the background, but I play fantasy football. Do you play fantasy football? You have to, right? Come on.
Yeah, I do. I'm not as good at real football as I am, or I'm not as good at fantasy football as I am at real football. But yes, I am. Continue.
Okay, so the premise of this game is in fantasy football, a lot of people are in leagues, and my league this year is a league in which you can have keeper players. So you keep players on your team for next year, right? So lucky enough, you keep 2 players. I was lucky enough to draft Justin Fields. Justin Fields is obviously going to be one of my keepers for next year. I'm going to have the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. It's going to be great. But I'm applying this to the Chicago Bears. And the question is this. Assume this is, fantasy league, and you're an owner of a team, and you get to keep 5 Chicago Bears players on the current roster, offense and defense, for next year. And that cannot include Justin Fields. So 5 players outside of Justin Fields. You must keep 5 that are guaranteed to be on the team in 2023. Just assume, for the sake of the argument, everyone on the team gets cut or traded aside from these 5 players. You can only keep 5. Yes, this is a hypothetical situation. That's not going to happen. I know there's probably some listeners who are like, well, what are you talking about? That's not realistic. Keep 5 players for 2023. Which 5, offense and defense, excluding Justin Fields, are you keeping?
5 on offense and 5 on defense, or just 5 on the whole
total.
team?
5 total.
Okay. Darnell Mooney. Jalen Johnson. Jaquan Brisker. Eddie Jackson. And I'm down to 3 players.
You have 4.
For this
you
have
Darnell Mooney,
Kyler Gordon,
Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker. Right. Oh, for the last spot. I got you.
Yeah, I'm saying so I'm down to Kyler Gordon, Tevin Jenkins, and Braxton Jones. I think I'd take Yeah, I think I'd take Kyler Gordon.
Wow. Over the 2 offensive linemen who could be
And
so
I really like those 2. I really like Tevin Jenkins, and I really like Braxton Jones. Like, that was a very tough decision. But, yeah, I still think Kyler Gordon's ceiling, uh, as far as he can keep going, and to pair him, um, with Jalen Johnson and the other 2 guys in the back end, the safeties that we got, I still think that that can be a very, very good back end of your defense. In a division, um, that has the, uh, maybe best receiver in football, Justin Jefferson, and the Packers, who have a little gem in Christian Watson. I don't think he's going to maintain this production for
I
much
agree.
longer this season, let alone his career. So, and we're in a, Bears are trying to compete for championships. So I do think Braxton Jones and Tevin Jenkins are starter levels, and both of them are good players. But I think I'd be lying to you if like I ever said like Braxton Jones would be a top 8 tackle in the league. Like if he's the 10th best left tackle in the league, that is a fantastic draft pick by Ryan Poles, right? But
Correct.
that's not to say that you can't ever upgrade from that. And same thing with Tevin Jenkins. I think Tevin Jenkins could be a top 8 right guard in football. Um,
Currently or at some point?
at some point. At some
Okay.
point. And I think Kyler Gordon could be a top 8 starting nickel in football easily. Top 5, I think, is his ceiling. So
Wow.
that's tough, but and it's hard because we preach so much about, oh, we want offense focused. But I think those are the 5 guys you have to go forward with in this case. Yeah, say your disagreement. I'm sure you were thinking
I
about it on the
it's
train.
yeah, and I also when I was on the train, I didn't nail down a 5. I was gonna kind of wait to see what you said and kind of try to formulate my 5, as you were talking there. And it's hard because I think the way to look at it is like you have to find 5 guys who in your eyes are irreplaceable, right? That's the goal, right? And Braxton Jones, he could be here for a long time and develop, but is he at the moment replaceable? Yeah, he's very replaceable at the moment. Like we talk about value, what you're getting out of him as a left tackle drafted in the 5th round as a rookie, incredible value. But is he replaceable? Yeah. Like I'm not going to
Correct.
necessarily keep that guy if I only have to choose 5 on this roster. It's also indicative to me that you chose 4 defensive players, right? So, and obviously we already know how bad the offense is, but if you were looking into 2023 and you're expecting a major overhaul on this offense, in one facet or another. I'll I'll do this, okay? I'll do Darnell Mooney. I'll do Jalen Johnson. I'll do Jaquan Brisker. I'll do Chase Claypool. And I'll do Tevin Jenkins. And now it's important to remember that this is like 5 guys you'd keep for next year. Like I'm trying to take out all sort of, Kyler Gordon could be something on a rookie
Yeah.
contract, like he's young, right? I'm trying to take that factor out.
Hmm.
But when you think about the offense and you think about, what is needed out of them and what, we thought Chase Claypool and still believe he could be, I think you would have to keep that guy. I think you'd have to keep him. And you'd have to keep more offensive players and defensive players, in my opinion, because the whole point of all of this is to still be, an offense that is one that's, built to help your quarterback and built to be sustainable and score 25 plus points per game. Can the defense be as bad as it currently is? No, it has to be better. But we know it doesn't have to be phenomenal. We know it doesn't have to be top 5. So I don't know. Interesting little game. Don Burr's in the chat already. Oh, here we go.
Jesus.
Here we go. He's back. Okay, here's a question for you. Here's a real question for you. Because I've seen this been floating around. And I think the Lions currently hold the 8th pick or something. Let's take a look at it right now. I think it's on. The Lions currently hold the 4th, right? Because they own the Rams pick. And the Rams just picked up Baker Mayfield. I don't really know if he's going to help them get any wins, but he's probably better than John Wolford. So hopefully the
Sure.
Rams can win a couple games. And even if they win one game, I believe that might push the Rams, aka Detroit, who owns that pick, down to 9, which could be significant. Anyway, I'm not sure they're going to. I'm not 1,000% sure the Lions are a well-run enough organization to take a quarterback in the draft. What do you think?
Like, are we assuming they're picking at number 4 right now, or just like in general? Like, you think that
In
they are
general,
not
like
looking for a quarterback right now?
in general, I think that it's not a guarantee, right? In my opinion. And regardless of draft position, like obviously in their top 3 becomes more interesting. It becomes more intriguing for them to take a Jalen Carter, take a Will Anderson. But if they're at number 9, like they could also trade up for, a quarterback, or even a Jalen Carter. Like they could do that too, right? I mean, they wouldn't trade for Will Anderson because they already got their guy in Aiden Hutchinson, but maybe a Jalen Carter. I don't know. I just personally, like, I could see the Detroit Lions being like, well, watch our offense this year. We're scoring 30 points a game. Jared Goff has been one of the most efficient, quarterbacks in the NFL this year. Clearly, the
Look
problem
at
is
what
on
Don
defense.
Burgess said. Look at what
Yeah.
Don Burgess said.
Like, and I think that's a general feeling among the fan base. So what I want you to tell me if you believe that that's what the Lions are going to do, and how effing stupid that is if that's the case.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize how that's actually how they felt. You can't win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff.
Nope.
That offense is really good. That's a really good receiving core, or receiving duo now, with Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I really like DeAndre Swift. Obviously, Jamal Williams is about as productive touchdown-wise as a back in the NFL can be. The offensive line is good. If I know their defense sucks, but I don't know, man. Jared Goff is just if you want to compete for a Super Bowl, which Lions fans are not used to and are probably complacent with being close enough, I guess you're okay with Jared Goff. So sure. I mean, if they're okay with it, then fucking take them. But you are right, Kevin. I don't think the organization is dying for that right now. None of those QBs you just named, Don Burr, have won a Super Bowl. I don't get it. As a matter of fact, 2 of those guys made it to a Super Bowl. Their team made it to a Super Bowl in spite of them. And the Titans got a number 1 seed in spite of Ryan Tannehill. And all 3 of them, by the way, have awful contracts. Their team, all teams that own, well, I guess Jimmy G restructured it. But before that, all 3 of them are in awful contracts. So, yeah, I mean, be complacent with that, I guess. But, like, you'll never – I mean, you'll come in second, sure. That's at best. But when it comes time to play Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, or Lamar Jackson in a Super Bowl setting, and you roll out with Jared Goff, you're not winning. You're not winning.
You're not wrong.
Maybe
if
you play them 10 times, like you lose 7 and you win 3. So maybe one of those, I mean, it's football, right? I mean, upsets happen. But I wouldn't be complacent with Jared Goff as my quarterback with that offense. No.
Absolutely not. Yeah, here they come. Oh, you're Bears fans. Here, we expect the hate. Hello, Justin Fields equals running back. I just can't. I think Lions fans are like, well, we had Matthew Stafford all these years, and he was just fine, but he wasn't the issue. The defense was always the issue. He couldn't, because obviously Matt Stafford wasn't the issue because he went to LA and he immediately won a Super Bowl. And I think they're probably saying, similar things about, Jared Goff. Well, he's not the issue. He's not the problem. But, I almost like if you're the Lions, like because they have the draft pick, it makes it different. I'm not even gonna say that because they have the draft pick, like they're in a good position to actually put themselves into positive situations in the coming years. They have a great offensive line, they have a young, good receiving core, but this is a poorly run organization. We know that. And I would not be surprised at all if they are stupid enough to not take a quarterback in round 1, say, hey, we know the problems on defense, take a Jalen Carter, right? And then do the Titans move, right? And then take a Malik Willis type player, because Malik
That's
was
what I thought the Lions were going
to
do last year. He was, I think he was a 3rd rounder. That's what I thought that they were going to do last year. I thought that they were going to take Willis or Ritter or, one of those high ceiling guys, because every team that drafted a quarterback last year drafted a quarterback for that reason. They drafted them to be a developmental guy behind a guy that they thought was a starter for now. Ritter is the guy behind Mariota. Kenny Pickett was supposed to be behind Trubisky. Obviously, that didn't work. Sam Howell is the third string. After Carson Wentz had went down, Matt Corral was behind Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Malik
TJ
Willis,
Walker.
obviously behind Ryan Tannehill. Like all those guys, Bailey Zappi behind Mac Jones. Like none of those guys were drafted to be starters right away. So at that point, like I don't know. It's just a sign that you're trying not to win a Super Bowl. Like we all know what quarterback means
Correct.
to a franchise in the NFL. You cannot win a Super Bowl without a franchise quarterback. If you believe Jared Goff is that guy, fine. All justice to you. You're incorrect. It's just how it. I'm sorry to say that that's just fact. Like we're Bears fans. We know, right? We know what that's like. So I don't know.
We do
Lions
know.
fans, if they're complacent with it, I'm very happy with it. So
That's fine with us. And like you could win, like, and what Kellen's saying is, you know what? If you put the right roster around him, you can win 12 games with Jared Goff. You could totally go 12-5. But in the biggest moments, he is not going to come through for you. And
yeah,
it's interesting, like, I can't think of a bunch of situations where, there are a lot of teams who adopt that, identity that, yes, I knew he was going to say Trent Dilfer for Joe Flacco.
yeah.
Once in a
That
blue
was
moon, it will
so
happen.
long ago, and that was
Once
so
in a
long
blue
ago.
moon.
That was a different NFL. Like it
Those
was
were also
such
two
a
of the best
different NFL.
defenses in NFL history, if I believe.
Yeah, they were.
The Ravens defense was,
And
obviously
both Ravens defenses.
yeah, they're both Ravens defenses, right? So that has to be taken into consideration, 100%. I just think now you've seen teams do this sort of strategy where, you're doing the Desmond Ritter, you're doing the Malik Willis, where, take a guy in the second or even what Minnesota thought they were doing, right, with Kellen Mond, sort of, take the later guy, groom him. How often does that even work? Like, I'm
Never.
really trying to,
It doesn't
like,
work.
Dak Prescott is the only one. Like, who else can I think of currently, right? I'm not going to go through history right now. I'm not like, who else? Name one other guy in the league right now who's really successful, who went through that path. I can't think of
I'm gonna
one.
try and think of all the ones throughout the show, but yeah, no, none of them. No one is like even like the second round guys, like Mason Rudolph, bad backup quarterback, and you like Kyle Trask, bad backup quarterback. Kellen Mond, cut from the Minnesota Vikings, second round quarterback, bad. Or like keep going back to like the Texans thinking, drafting Tom Savage and Ryan Mallett and those guys in the middle rounds. It never worked.
They did
Never
the same
worked.
with Davis Mills. Like, it was
Yeah,
the same
exactly.
idea.
It's another perfect example. Davis Mills. Like, sure, like Davis Mills look good a couple times a year, get you a couple wins. No, that guy's not a franchise quarterback. That's okay to admit. It's okay.
And all it does is like, you might get lucky, right? You may get lucky. It's happened throughout history, right? Brady 6th rounder, Dak
Jalen
4th
Hurts
rounder.
is an example, but Jalen Hurts is
Jalen
a
Hurts is a
special
good
one.
one.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is a good one. That is the one we missed. That is true. Like, it can happen, but in majority of situations, it delays your whole process, right? Because you go, so say you're the Lions. Say you wrote Jared Goff, and then say you draft who's like a good second round QB for like a Hendon Hooker. But Hendon Hooker is a different situation because he's good enough to be a first rounder, but he got, unlucky with the injury. Who's another guy that you say would be like a second, third rounder? Throw out a name. I'm trying to think of names. College better than I do. Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, I guess Spencer Rattler would be. Spencer Rattler, he is eligible. He can go right now if he wants to. Spencer Rattler is actually a really good example. Let's say Spencer Rattler is not like a terrible leader, which are most of the reports that he's it's just not a good guy to follow, and that's what you need at quarterback. So no guy's going to draft that, and he's a headache, personally. But his talent, his release, he can throw off platform. He has some really bad habits, but again, like assume that most of those are minimal. Yeah, you take that guy in the second round and you hope that he can develop, but like. Again, it rarely works. It rarely works, right? And Spencer Rattler is a very high-level traits guy, but he just can't figure it out, between the ears.
And that's my point, right? So say you're the Lions, you're Jared Goff, you draft Spencer Rattler, okay? You make, say you win 9 games next year, 10 games, you don't do anything, and then you're like, all right, it's Rattler's turn, and then Rattler turns out to be not a first-round quarterback, and then you start losing more, and then you're in this rut, and then you're forced at some point to reset with a top 10 pick at quarterback. At some point, each franchise is going to have to do it, right? Like the 49ers did their thing with Jimmy Garoppolo, didn't get them there, forced to reset, get Trey Lance. And obviously that's not working out for them, but it should have taken Justin Fields. But this is my point. Like it delays the window for, maybe not the window, but it delays the ability to actually win a Super Bowl for these teams. And like with the Texans, right? The Texans completely got delayed. Let's take Davis Mills. Let's see how that works for a couple years. And now,
or
now
Denver with Drew Lock, and now they're forced.
Point.
It's the same thing. They traded for a ghost of a quarterback and a guy who's playing bad with a bad head coach, Russell Wilson.
And you're making a good point too, because Denver with Drew Lock, they weren't horrible, but they were never, like, they weren't horrible, but they obviously weren't good. So then you get stuck in mediocrity at the point where you don't even have the ability to have a top 10 pick because you're consistently around 7, 8 wins.
Right.
And like that's perpetually where I think the Lions will be if Jared Goff is going to continue to be their quarterback. So too much talk about the Lions. I just think it's interesting because I've heard a lot from Lions fans, and I've heard a lot, in Lions media that, Jared Goff's not the problem. And it's really interesting as it pertains to what the Chicago Bears would do, because again, at this current moment, the Rams are at 4, the Bears are at 2, and the Lions, again, who own the Rams, pick at 4, and then the Seahawks, who own the Denver pick at 3. But we are going to keep our eye on those QB needy teams who are going to be willing to trade up with the Chicago Bears at 2, and allow the Bears to get a first round pick back this year. And the 2 teams that are able to give you that would be there's 3 teams: the Eagles, the Seahawks, and the Lions. So, something to keep an eye on there. Here's the question I'll ask you, because now everyone is turned to 2023, as they should be in turn to the draft, and the mock drafts are coming through. And we've started this debate. We had it on the Score today with one of our college football analysts. Who's the better player for the Chicago Bears, Will Anderson Jr. or Jalen Carter? Personally, I haven't watched all the film enough to make that determination, in my opinion, of who I think would be the better pick. And there's still a lot of time to figure that out. To get drafted for 4 months. But at this current moment, if you were Ryan Poles on the clock today, December 6th, at number 2, and you had the ability to take Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, which one are you taking?
Probably Will Anderson. But again, like I haven't finished either of their reports, right? But I'd say because I know that Will Anderson can rush from the edge, and I feel confident that his skill set will allow him to rush from the interior. That's pretty funny. Jalen Carter is a great interior defender, pass rush, taking on blocks. Like, I'm going to see it firsthand when I go down to Atlanta for the Peach Bowl. Like, he's an amazing football player. And interior pressure in the NFL now is becoming on a level increasingly equivalent to edge pressure. It's not quite the same yet, but it is getting up there. I'm still going to take the edge rusher because edge rush matters. And not to say that Jalen Carter can't move outside, because I think he can, but he wouldn't be the same beast that Will Anderson is. Will Anderson has an insane first step, an insane burst. Jalen Carter's a bit more meaty. I mean, just look at their bodies. Will Anderson's a little bit more cut, but that's because they play different positions, right? Jalen Carter is the 4-eye, and sometimes they shade him. Will Anderson strictly like 5 tech, but like I said, you can move him inside on certain pass rush packages, and I'd take him. I'd take Will Anderson right now.
The 2023 NFL Defensive Player of the Year top contenders from an odds standpoint: Micah Parsons. What position does he play? Edge rusher. Nick Bosa. What position does he play?
Edge.
Matthew Judon.
Edge. Really? He's 3rd?
Yeah, he's 3rd. Matthew Judon was the favorite a couple weeks ago, and the Patriots started losing some more.
I guess I don't know ball. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, they have it. The Patriots haven't had a Sunday night football game this year, so he hasn't really been on the radar. I mean, the Patriots were on the Monday night football against the Bears, and then the Thanksgiving Thursday night game. But you haven't heard as much about the Patriots, right? Like you don't really know what's up with them as usual. But the other ones are Max Crosby, edge rusher, and then I guess Chris Jones is on the list somehow,
Chris
some
Jones
way.
has been pretty good this year.
Not an
I
edge
know
rusher,
that
but
much.
yeah, 4 of the 5 are edge rushers there. Obviously Myles Garrett. Some people argue that he's in that conversation. I don't really know what he's doing from a number standpoint, but I think you'd have to go with Anderson as well. Like I think here's where I think people are getting mistaken, and it's where some teams got mistaken about Patrick Mahomes and Zach Wilson is like they just want Jalen. They think Jalen Carter's Aaron Donald. Okay, like that, and like he won't be Aaron Donald. Like, it's just you just can't say that he's going to be the greatest defensive player of all time because that's what Aaron Donald is, in my opinion, greatest defensive player of all
Sure.
time. But I think people are so caught up in that potential comparison that they're like, oh, well, like he could be Aaron Donald though. Like Will Anderson's really good. He's going to be good. Like there's no way he's not going to be good. He also has that ceiling of being Myles Garrett, but Jalen Carter could be Aaron Donald. Like I think that's the way some people see it, and I think that's the way some people saw Zach Wilson is like, sure, does he have flaws, but like he could be Mahomes because he can throw on the run 60 yards. I know you hate that because you hate Zach Wilson.
But you're right.
I'm wrong though.
I mean, no, you're exactly right. It's part of the reason why that discourse just made me angry. And quarterback is different than all the other positions, but yes, I don't like making comps like that because it makes you just
unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. But you're right though. You're 100% correct about the comparisons, and it's the same type of deal when you try and compare like anyone to anyone on a Hall of Fame level, especially one that's playing in today's game.
Yeah, we love to do it. It's hard for the player because then the media and the fan base sets this expectation, and it's like if you're the player, you're like, are you effing kidding me? You're like, you want me to be Aaron Donald? That's what you want me to be the greatest. That's what you're expecting out of me. Do you know how much pressure that puts on me?
Yeah,
like
that's pretty crazy.
And we talked about that with Justin Fields a little bit about how, everyone knew he was the most talented quarterback to ever be drafted to the Chicago Bears or ever be a part of the Chicago Bears, and knew his ceiling, and he was the chosen one, right? Supposed to be, the most talented player to ever come through, most talented quarterback to ever come through this franchise, and he has been and will be. But that's a lot of pressure, man. Like that's a lot to live up to, especially in a city and a fan base that's so impatient. And that's why you saw people like our very own Jake Hassan ready to be out on him after a couple of weeks, and I'll never let him live it down because we knew and he didn't. But it's a lot of pressure, man, and I think he's handling it well, and he's proven it.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him because I know that I'm at, like think about us and the entire fan base and what people expect of a quarterback. And he's also like he not that this matters too much, but it does matter. He's the first black quarterback that we've had and expected
It matters.
a lot out of. You know what I mean? And his skill set coming out of college was just like nothing like we had ever seen before. And the thing about the draft pick was like there was just no chance that we were going to get him, right? Like there was no opportunity that we felt at the start of that night when pick 1 was made, and it was Trevor Lawrence. You were like, Justin Fields is coming off the board in the next 5 picks. There's no way he doesn't. And then after it got past like Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater, you're like, one of these guys are going to take him. And they didn't. And then it got to pick 11. You're like, and I remember tweeting out like, let's go, Pace. Let's go. Trade up. Let's go. And he did. So that's another part of it. The pressure is like, oh my God, I can't believe we got him.
I mean, we're lucky. And so you go back, and this goes back to the point that we were talking about how teams are willing to be stuck in mediocrity because they have, in the Panthers sense, not Baker Mayfield. Who did they have? Darnold at the time of the 2020 draft, still had Matt Ryan for the Falcons. And you look at what those teams did, those teams that passed on, who didn't, quote unquote, need a quarterback at the time and passed on Justin Fields and allowed him to fall to a point where we can trade up.
And look at their alternatives. Now you're
Exactly.
stuck with Marcus Mariota, who's objectively not good, and Desmond Ritter, who we don't know what he is yet, but he's not as talented as Justin Fields. Sam Howell, not as talented as Justin Fields. And I know the Broncos have Russell Wilson now. And if you ask Benjamin Albright and the rest of those fans, they'll probably say, yeah, we'd still like Russell Wilson right now over Justin Fields. Sure, that's fine. I disagree, obviously. But like in this time next year or this time in a couple years, it's going to matter if the Broncos don't have a Super Bowl.
It absolutely is going to matter, 100%. And then you look again, like the Falcons. Now they're winning games this year, and they're not even in a position now to draft another guy, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure someone might fall to them, but like at that point at 4, like you took Kyle Pitts, who is, I get it. I get Kyle Pitts is what was and probably still is a generational talent. And with the right situation around him, will be more productive than he has been in the league so far, right? And I sort of understand it to a sense, but every GM should know that this is a quarterback league. It's a quarterback's league. Like, did the Carolina Panthers really think that J.C. Horn was going to be Deion Sanders? Like, this goes back to the point of like, well, we could take Justin Fields here, but like J.C. Horn could be Deion Sanders. Like, that has to be what's going through their mind, because the Carolina Panthers set themselves back decades now. Not decades. A very long time, because they didn't take Justin Fields. Because they didn't, like, and you can't be like, did you really have the hope that Sam Darnold was going to be something at that point? Right. I mean, even, again, you Denver, Detroit at the time. I mean, Detroit at the time had what? Just traded for Jared Goff, I guess. Or was that after? I don't remember.
No, I don't remember either.
But it just goes to show, man. Teams are it's we should be, Kellyn and I should be a GM, bro. You should be a GM.
It's just not that hard, man. Sometimes it's just not that hard.
I really feel like it's not that hard.
Now look, it was not that hard to be in the Jets position and be like, you know what? Let me sit here and be very clear about this. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is going on. Let's watch the tape, right? Like that. I just don't know if Joe Douglas and all those guys sat in a room and waded through the three options, and landed on Zach Wilson being the best of them. I just doubt that happened in a professional way. There's just no way.
They had a gigantic projector screen in their meeting room, and it was just looping the pro day throw over and over.
Yeah, that's all it was, man. That's all it was.
That's all it was. And you know what it was? It was a giant projector which on one side was looping that throw, and on another side was looping Patrick Mahomes highlights. And they were like, well, he could be. Look at this throw. He could be.
Come on, man.
I mean, come on. Apples and oranges. Videos. They're the same. Yeah. They're the same. Like, let's ignore everything else except for that. Thank God for Dan Orlovsky, who said that Justin Fields had a bad work ethic or whatever, if that really made a difference. What idiot that guy is for saying that. But I digress. Interesting take there on the draft and how it works. I got another question for you. Well, I got a little thing. Fact or fiction? We do this sometimes. I have a couple things written down here for fact or fiction. And if you guys in the chat want to participate, let us know if you think each prompt is fact or fiction here. Except for Domberg, that guy can't comment right now. The Lions fans are banned from the chat. Will Chase Claypool be the best wide receiver on the Chicago Bears next year? We proposed. No. Okay, then who? Or
I think it's Darnell Mooney still.
I kind of agree, but is
well,
okay.
So is he the
second
best receiver on the team?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just rephrase. Is Darnell Mooney the best wide receiver on the team next year?
Yeah, that's fact. That's fact.
So, is that bad?
No, that's the question. Okay.
You're torn on this one. I thought this was easy for you. Why? G Station says why.
Is that a bad thing?
It's a good question.
It depends.
Oh, wow. This dude just stopped for 30
Let me
seconds and
ask you,
said, it
Kevin.
depends.
Let me ask you. Let's say is when the Lions drafted Jamison Williams, would you say after the season Amon-Ra St. Brown had, which was a good season, would you say that Jamison Williams was the best receiver that the Lions had?
No,
I think I died.
no, I wouldn't say that. Why? What's the comparison there? You got
Oh,
me?
I think Kevin, I don't know if you got me, but I think I'm gone. I'm gonna reset real quick. Hold on.
Reset
Give
real
me two
quick, man.
seconds. I don't know if it's me or you. Hold
I
on, you're
got you.
back.
You got me now?
Are we good now? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying, I said no. I think Amon Ra obviously it was still better, but what's the comparison you're trying to make with that?
I'm trying to say so like if the Bears, let's say the Bears draft Jordan Addison, like um,
But you have to
you
take
know,
into consideration the injury with Jameson Williams, right? Or are you just talking about like from a talent
I'm
standpoint?
just talking about just talent, like assuming he wasn't injured, which is hard. Or let's say that instead of drafting Jahan Dotson, who's very good, let's say the Washington Commanders drafted Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave. No, that's not a good example because Terry McLaurin's
I
actually a
know
really
where you're
overrated
going with it.
receiver.
I know where you're going with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing if Darnell Mooney's the best receiver if they get someone of talent like Jordan Addison or JSN or Quentin Johnson to add to that. It is bad if it's just Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool and like some other guys that they are trying to fill in with the void. That is not ideal.
It's not ideal. And the problem we're faced with is unless the cards, fall the right way for us, and we are able to trade down and accumulate another first round pick in this draft, or if the Bears, I'll go on a limb here. I'm going to, very shocking take. I think the Bears will beat one of either the Bills or Eagles. I think the Bears will beat one of either the Bills or Eagles. I think there's going to be a surprise
Okay.
on the schedule somewhere, in December for the Bears. But if they're not, if they don't, and they're like again, we played this game yesterday. Like all of a sudden, it's becoming a lot more likely that they won't get one of those guys, that they won't get an Addison or a JSN or a Quentin Johnson. And in that situation, are you fucked? That's what I'm asking. Like, because we know and this is why, like, am I enticed by Will Anderson and Jalen Carter? Yes, I am. But I have said before, and I guess I have to stick to it. Like, do you ever see the movie Draft Day? Kevin Costner, Chadwick Boseman.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think Ryan Poles should have on his, yellow Post-it card, wide receiver no matter what. Like WR no matter what. Like because like I really, really do, man. I mean, you can spend the
I
money on
think that they should
defense.
I think that they should try and find whatever way they can to make sure that their first pick is a receiver and that pick is valuable. That's what I think. I do think that Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are blue chip players. I think that this team needs offensive help right now, and it's fine if you draft one of them. It is fine if you draft one of them with the first something whatever picks. Find a dance partner, trade back in the draft because drafting Jordan Addison JSN at number 2 is not a good pick. It's just not a good pick.
Oh my
Draft,
God.
yeah, Bird down is good. But drafting them in the teens, that's a good pick.
I agree. I agree.
And I don't know who would trade up with them as of right now, but I think that's on Ryan Poles to find a dance partner, find a team that needs a quarterback, or find a team that fucking find a team that's a Jalen Carter or Will Anderson away from winning a Super Bowl. Find a team that needs that, and then trade back because maybe it isn't a quarterback. Maybe it's one of those two guys.
Teams that are a I almost did it. A Jalen Carter or Will Anderson away from a Super Bowl, in my opinion, who would be willing to trade up with you, who have a lot of picks. Let's see. I'm looking at the teams. I'm like, well, Jesus Christ, there's not many. Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe, but you trade up
Maybe.
from 27 to 2, you'd have to give up like 8 first round picks.
Yeah, it's a
Or
long
you're
way.
looking at teams like the Commanders maybe, or the Chargers. They don't. That's not really what they need. Or the Steelers, the Texans at 13. I don't know. I don't know, but it's just interesting. Like, I wouldn't be content. Like, I'd be discontent. Like, I would love to have Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, but in the back of my mind, if they made that selection, I'd be thinking, well, what are we really going into this year again with the same problems at wide receiver? Is that what we're going to do? Another year of excuses, for Justin Fields, another year of not helping out your quarterback? Like, is that what we're going to do? That's why I get a little bit concerned. That's just where I'm at. Like, the problem you have as well is I also don't think that there's a guy among JSN, Quentin Johnson, and Jordan Addison that's far ahead of the rest. I think they're all pretty equal. They're all in the same tier. And after those three, there's a significant drop off probably before Jalen Hyatt and Josh Downs. Maybe not a significant drop off between them and Josh Downs, but I'd say maybe a tier below. I go back and watch Josh Downs tape. I haven't seen enough of him. But it's just an interesting proposition. And then that goes back to the point of, that we made yesterday. We played this whole game. If you guys didn't hear it, go back to our episode yesterday when we did a whole thing about, the wide receivers who are due for contract extensions from the 2019 draft, their 2020 draft rather, who may want out of their current situation, Bears trade for them, and then the Bears give them a contract extension. I just think that's a possibility. But I that's why I think at this given moment, I'd rather them trade back than take Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. Trade back, accumulate picks, and then take your receiver of the future. That's my goal. I mean, it's going to be hard because as a GM, it's almost impossible to miss on those guys. Like, if you're Ryan Poles, like, you're not missing on Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. Like, unless injuries come up, like, those guys are guaranteed hits. And that's a real comforting thing to have in your resume as a GM, right? And it's not as attractive to look at trading back and then taking more of a risk on a JSN, Jordan Addison, or Quentin Johnson. And it's not a huge risk. It's just you don't really know which of the three will end up being the best, right? You just don't know at this moment. So it's a risky situation for Poles, but
and there's a lot that could still happen too. Like one of those guys could run like 4.3 at the combine and jump like 40 some inches, and then they separate themselves. Something like that could happen. Obviously, we're far ways away from that, but let's say that doesn't happen. And I mean, sometimes you just gotta drop your nuts and be the GM and make a pick and trust your scouts, trust your eyes. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna actually, if you guys want to join in and ask a question, I will drop the link in the chat, and you guys can hop in to the StreamYard, be on the stream. We did this before. I just threw it in there. If you guys actually want to participate, I know G Station's in here asking a lot of questions. If you want to show yourself, Frank Quiraz, if you guys want to show yourself here, ask questions, that could be kind of fun. But interesting little thing to do there as far as, Chase, if what the Bears wide receiver currently looks like, given how bad it is for agency. The next factor fiction, you're going to hate this one, but I got to throw it at you. Cole Kmet is a top 7 tight end in the NFL.
Fiction.
All right, name 7 better than Cole Kmet.
Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, despite his bad production. Kyle Pitts is still better.
That's 4.
Dallas Goedert.
Good one.
Obviously George Kittle, but I'm not going to count him because he's just kind of been on and off. He's very easy, even though I said Kelce, but Kelsey's obviously been healthy. Pat Freiermuth.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Let's not do the Pat Freiermuth.
I'll take Pat Freiermuth over Cole Kmet. Okay. Let's say you don't. All right. I'll find someone else. Gerald Everett.
Yeah, Gerald Everett's good. I do like Gerald Everett. That's a good one that a lot of people are gonna be like, "What the f are you talking about?" He's currently scored less
Hold on.
fantasy points than
Let me
Cole
let me.
this year. You're just
Let me.
gonna try
I'm
to
going
find as many
through
as you can.
fantasy teams. I
This
am
is your
gonna try and
favorite.
find
Foster
all
Moreau?
the best fantasy teams in my league.
No, stop. Do not. Dalton Schultz is better than him.
I would take Dalton Schultz over Cole Kmet. Yes.
Dalton's
Hunter
had a
Henry's
bad year.
washed. I would not take Hunter Henry over Cole Kmet. I would not take Greg Dulcich over Cole Kmet. I would not take Trey McBride or Zach Ertz over Cole Kmet. But I mean,
It's fun. It's fun. It's interesting. Cole
did I
Kmet's a
name? I
top
think
10
I
tight
named
end.
7.
You named 7. You put him.
He's a top 10 tight end, but I also think that speaks to like the state of tight end in professional football right now. Darren Waller, who's obviously hurt.
No.
Darren Waller's better than when Darren Waller's healthy. He's better than Cole Kmet. But
He
okay,
was
I won't
healthy
count
earlier
any of
this
that.
year, and he put up like 1 point per game.
He's better than Cole Kmet. I'd rather have him than Cole Kmet. But okay, so I named what 7. I got 7 on the dot.
You got 7 on there.
So he's a top quarter. Let's say he's the 8th best tight end in the league. So he's in the top quarter of tight ends, or just around there.
That's fine.
Kevin, he's just so slow.
I know he's slow.
And
he's
it's
slow.
just.
I know he's slow.
I just wish we had someone with a bit more juice. But I'm not going to complain anymore about Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet has outperformed what I thought he would. And I'm very happy at that. He's very good after the catch with the ball in his hands at getting yards. And I think a lot of that is because he plays for the Bears. I don't think you would get a lot of that effort if he played for a different team. He grew up a Bears fan. He hates the Packers. It helps the Bears. But, yeah.
All right, so let's stay on the same sort of idea here. All right, now we're going to do the free agent running backs for 2023. Also, wait, Justin Fields deleted the Uber Eats tweet.
Maybe they threw him a bag.
They did throw him a bag. They probably threw him a bag and told him to delete the tweet.
Yeah, probably.
Honestly, that's funny. Okay, the free agent 2023 running backs. How many? Wait, I'm gonna go down the list, go name by name, and you're gonna tell me if that player, the free agent running back, is better than David Montgomery.
Sure,
okay?
Let's do it.
Because this could be significant. Now, I don't know if the Bears would actually go after a free agent running back, but if we, go 3 months from now and the Bears end up signing David Montgomery and are willing to spend the money, we can ask ourselves, well, should they have spent the money on somebody else? Saquon Barkley
is better than David Montgomery. Yes.
Yeah. I do it for the sake of letting people know who's free agent. Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Really?
Close, but yeah.
Really?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Demo's really good in pass pro and as a receiver. Like, he's very good at both of those things. He's a good runner. I would change my mind. I would take David Montgomery over Kareem Hunt. I changed my mind.
Yeah, I would too. I would 100% take David Montgomery over Kareem Hunt. Rashad Penny.
David Montgomery's better.
I agree. Jamal Williams.
David Montgomery is better.
I agree. Josh Jacobs. That's where things start to get a little interesting here.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs is probably better.
Yeah, he's having an unreal year this year. And you can't make the argument anymore that, Dan Montgomery doesn't have a good offensive line. Bears rush, their run blocking has been pretty damn good this year. I don't think that's an excuse for him anymore as much as it was last year.
Are people not fans? Do people not like David Montgomery right now? Are we not like?
I think the fan base is pretty, in general, like, content about Dave Montgomery, but they don't know if he's worth keeping around for the money, or they don't, no one hates, no one thinks he's bad. No one thinks he's really, really good. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's where people are kind of at. Like, is he worth, I don't know what it would be, 5-6 million a year, something like that
I'd
maybe.
pay David Montgomery $5 million a year for 2 or 3 years,
Again, but we're doing it
especially
so you would
considering.
rather pay Josh Jacobs that money though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I don't think Josh Jacobs would take that money. I think David Montgomery would stay in Chicago for somewhere around that money. Like we have to think about the value. If we're saying like, what is it? Is it apropos? What's the freaking Latin term for like all things equal? I don't know. You know what I'm trying to talk about. But it's like, so you tweeted about Tony Pollard, which I'm sure you're getting to. Do you want to do that right now, or do you want to do it later?
Let's do Tony Pollard because I tweeted this. I will go to Ryan Pohl. I'll go to House Hall right now, and I will drop $10 million on the table for Tony Pollard because Tony Pollard has the ability to be a top 7 running back in the NFL. The Cowboys are just stupid and just feel like they owe things to Ezekiel Elliott, or they're just up by 40 points and they're able to give Ezekiel Elliott touches. Tony Pollard's by far the better, more versatile running back. He's so effing good. If he came to the Bears, I'd buy his jersey immediately. He's just
How
stupid.
much you'd pay $10 million a year for Tony Pollard?
Not $10 million a year. I said $10 million, assuming it's like a 2-year contract for $5 million a year or something.
Yeah, Tony Pollard's gonna take that. I don't think he would.
Dude, but this is the problem. No, he will. Again, Kellyn, this is a problem.
Why?
Because people don't value running backs anymore, and they shouldn't. Again, I'm so stupid for saying this because I've come on this show a billion
Mhm,
times. And I've said, don't overpay for a running back. Don't draft a running back before round 4, right? Like
Yes.
I'm so infatuated with Tony Pollard, but teams know this, and teams also know how deep the free agent class is. So that means the value of everyone else goes down when the highest guy isn't at a premium, and it's so deep. So for that reason, yeah, that's a reasonable contract. I mean,
Yes,
like
I agree. But there are stupid NFL GMs that are still in the league. Someone somewhere is probably gonna throw him more money. And maybe he won't want to play there more than he'll want to play in Chicago. But I don't know. I feel like he has the leverage of like I'm sitting behind Zeke, who's getting what 16 million a year till whatever year he gets it till, which is crazy for a running back. He's
15.
gonna say like I was better than that guy for the last X amount of years. Yeah, and you're gonna give me 10 million less than him. Now that said, you are 100% right. Running back is not as valuable, but do running backs know and do they care? I think that's where you find a fault at with guys like Pollard and Jacobs and Saquon. Those top level guys, they're gonna be like, well, what the fuck? Alvin Kamara got paid. Christian McCaffrey got paid. That guy's never on the field. I think that they have that leverage over a guy like David Montgomery, who's just a tier below that, who doesn't have that leverage and would take. And obviously, we know Demo is a really good guy, and he likes Chicago, likes playing for the Bears, and we like him. Fan base is crazy about him as a person, but yeah, I think that tier that David Montgomery is just below, he doesn't have that leverage where those guys do, and I think that they can swindle a team desperate enough, like take I don't know, like take the Chiefs who have Isaiah Pacheco, who's a good running back, but the Chiefs took a first round. They spent a first rounder on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? So who's to say that like who's not a good running back right now? And I don't think he was worth a first round pick back then. He was a decent draft prospect, but not worth that. Like, what's to say that they're not like, all right, Tony Pollard, like we'll give you 9-10 mil a year because we think we're a running back away still. Assuming they don't win a Super Bowl this year, which they very well could because they're a good football team and Mahomes is unreal. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I think the Tony Pollard thing is unrealistic. And if we do get him, I don't think it's for the money that you're saying.
Then what's the price tag you're putting on Tony Pollard? Because I have the running back contracts here, and I'll tell you which players are being paid more than the price that you're going to put on Tony Pollard right now per year.
Okay, just tell me one thing before I guess. Who's the highest paid running back in the league? Is it CMC?
Christian McCaffrey.
And he's getting 20 million?
16.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I still think that Pollard would want eight, eight or 9, 8 or
Here
9.
are the players getting more than 8 or 9 million a year. Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey. So there's 8 players. 9 if I can't count. 8. You really would put him? You really would do that? You think he's really gonna? You think Ryan Poles in contract negotiations is gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna make you a top 8 paid running back in the NFL? Crazy. I don't know. And I'm looking at this. I did not even realize this. Can I just read you some of the names of the players who are getting paid more than David Montgomery right now? Can I just read them to you?
Yeah.
Per year. Corey Clement, Jeremy McNichols, Jonathan Williams, who? Kenny Nwangwu, Trenton Cannon. I mean, Pierre Strong Jr., Isaiah Spiller. Who are these people?
Isaiah Spiller makes more than he's a rookie. He makes more than David Montgomery. Wow.
Well, David Montgomery's still on the rookie deal.
So David Montgomery's is he making what, $2 million this year?
He's making 1,055.
That's not a lot at all.
No, he's making 1,003. Signed a contract of $4 million when you're the rookie. Brutal. Ryan Pace said him dirty. We got a viewer in the chat. We got Jay Capone the Don, who's been in here a couple times. I know he joins on YouTube, gets his thoughts in here. This guy hates Jake Hassan's takes. Always going after Jake Hassan in the chat. So you're lucky that you don't got Jake here. It's just myself and Kellyn. Jay Capone to Don, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, man? What's up? Love the show, guys. Love the show.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it a lot. Appreciate you always coming in here, giving us your insights, giving us your thoughts. What you got for us? You got a hot take? You got a question? What you got for us right now? I know you got something on your mind.
I got a hot take and I got a question.
Well, let's hear it.
My hot take is Alex Leatherwood is going to be our starting right tackle from now on. And my question is, do you guys think that we could get that center out of Michigan in like the mid to later rounds, like 3rd, 4th round?
I don't know. I don't know the center for Michigan. I know Minnesota has a really good center.
I heard about that
John
too.
Michael. I don't know. I think that would be, if he's a good center, though, I think the 3rd or 4th round for a good center is a good place to get one. What's his name? Tell me his name.
I couldn't even tell you his name.
I should probably know it, considering I work at Ohio State football and don't know the name of Michigan starters. But I feel like that I should know that.
Olusegun Oluwatimi?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
that's him.
I didn't want to butcher the guy's name, so
Hey, you're a good man. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting as far as how they'll attack that position, right? Because the problem, or it's a good problem to have, in my opinion, Lucas Patrick's on a 2-year deal. Like, he's going to be here. Now, the question is, do you have faith and trust that he's gonna be healthy enough, or that he's good enough, right? I mean, from the reps that he got, he didn't play a lot of center reps, but when he was playing right guard, he was terrible. Or was he playing left guard? I can't even remember.
I think it was left guard.
It was left, right, when Cody was out. But you can look at that and say, well, this is a guy you're paying what, like $3, $4, $5 million a year. You don't maybe need to waste a draft pick on a center, especially when you have Doug Kramer in your back pocket as potentially your backup center now. Obviously, Sam Mustapher will be gone. It's an interesting thing to think about because that is obviously the biggest position of need on the team. But you have a guy sitting there in Lucas Patrick who's on this deal that you can kind of fall back on. It's just of how content are you with that, right? Because we know how bad the offensive line is. We know how much it needs to be improved in order for Justin Fields to improve and take really the final step in his development next year. Are you willing and comfortable going into 2023 with Lucas Patrick as your center? I guess that's a question for you guys now.
Well, I mean, from what I saw from Patrick, the 2 snaps that he played at center, I mean, he was pretty. he was pretty good. He was pretty good.
Yeah, Kellyn.
With his,
I would like to upgrade, but I guess we can live with it if you upgrade other spots in the offensive line.
Yeah.
You cut out for a second, Jay Capone. You're back now, though. What were you saying?
Okay. I was saying from the few snaps that he played, I mean, he was pretty good. I mean, but it's all about consistency and availability. So
Availability is the greatest ability. That's what they say. And if you can't be
Amen.
available, then and there's a lot of people actually who think that he could be a cap casualty. I mean, they could save, I think, like, anywhere between 1.5, 2.5 million cap by cutting him, right? So you have really two opposite ends of the spectrum. You cut him and then you do what you're saying and go get an Oluwatimi, or I would have to look at the free agent centers this year and go get somebody in free agency, save a little bit of money there. But then, you do have that, well, you cut him as a cap casualty, but then you spend more money on a center that wouldn't really be saving money. So you either do that or you just, keep him around. It's interesting to look at, but when you think about the offensive line, and you make a great point, the first thing you said, your hot take, Alex Leatherwood, like, the more you think about it, with a healthy unit, how much money do you really need to spend on the offensive line, right? Cody Whitehair is not going anywhere. Tevin Jenkins, Kellyn proclaimed as a top 8 right
tackle.
tackle.
Head out.
Yes, sir.
All love, and I'll keep supporting.
Appreciate
you, man.
Have a good one.
Appreciate you. Jake Capone to Don in here to ask a question. That was awesome to have him in here. Any other viewers that want to come in and ask a question, drop a hot take, please do. It's a lot of fun. We appreciate all the love and support we get on here and want to return the favor. But back to the point, I mean, really think about it. Aside from left tackle, maybe, if Alex Leatherwood is a guy that you actually do believe in, and that you have now depth pieces at right tackle and Larry Borum, where do you need to spend on the offensive line? Like, truly, where do you need to spend? Like Orlando Brown, maybe, if you want to just immediately improve left tackle, but like,
I don't even know if Orlando Brown has been having that good of a year right now. I don't know. Like, I haven't watched enough games, but I think I've read a couple tweets, talked to a couple people. But yeah, that aside, point stands, Kevin. The Bears their O-line is just so young, and Cody Whitehair is getting up there in age. It kind of feels like, how that we were at the tail end of Kyle Long's career, and we could just kind of see it where he was just losing it, just didn't have it.
Losing it.
And I think, yeah, Cody Whitehair is approaching that point, not quite there yet. So those two spots, left guard and center, I think those are going to be your positions of need. We just haven't seen enough from Leatherwood yet. I would obviously hope that he becomes what he was drafted to be ultimately by the Raiders, right? Which is a starting tackle in the NFL. But I mean, the guy got cut after one season as a first-round pick, and I know that the Raiders, changed up their regime, but that's still pretty goddamn bad. And there was obviously a reason for that. I know he's been sick, and he finally got in the field. He got 10 snaps. I don't really know how those 10 snaps went, but I know Justin Fields didn't get sacked, and I know that the Bears moved the ball pretty damn well, actually, and they turned the ball over 3 times in opponent territory. So I don't know. Again, same thing that I said last night. I hope that's more of a sign of Chris Morgan than anything else.
Right.
As a good offensive line coach. So,
which would be massive. Absolutely massive. Do you have any fact or fictions? Anything pop in your mind for a fact or fiction? Anything you can think of off the top of your head? That's all I got written down.
I can think of one real quick.
I got one more for you. What you think?
Okay.
Do you think you're a better football player than Tim Boyle? I might not even be joking. I'm not even joking. Do you know who Tim Boyle is?
I do know who Tim Boyle is.
Do you know his college stats?
Yeah, he had like 5 touchdowns to like umpteen interceptions. 1 touchdown in college?
He might have had more than 1. We did this, Jake and I did this.
I think he had a season where it was like 1 touchdown to 11 interceptions.
It was 1 to 8. That's what I'm thinking of.
1 to 8. Okay.
I'm not sure he threw another one.
Tim Boyle's bad.
He threw 1 touchdown in his college career, 13 interceptions, passer rating of 77.9, 4.5 yards per attempt, and a 48.4% completion percentage.
That's really
UConn.
Bad. There's got to be some, like, I saw Tim Boyle play for the Lions, and like he wasn't as bad for the Lions as those college stats seem to, because that's really bad. That is really bad. And quarterback stats are not the entire story, as one will tell you, as me myself included, especially. I don't know. Maybe I could be better than Tim Boyle.
I would take you over Tim Boyle. I am not kidding, Kellyn. I am not kidding.
I appreciate
I would
that.
rather have you on the Chicago Bears than Tim Boyle. That's just effing
Appreciate that.
ridiculous. It's unfair, dude. It'd piss me off. It would piss me off if I was an accomplished college quarterback who didn't get drafted and that guy's in the league in front of me. Like that's enough about Tim Boyle. I just thought that was funny. I think.
Okay, fact or fiction? The Bears, the Chicago Bears, our Chicago Bears, have the best secondary in football next season.
Wow, that's a great question. That's a really good question because earlier this year, I said that they would. I'm gonna say the best.
The best.
Jesus.
And now you got to think about who would be better, which is tough.
No, I'm gonna say yes. I don't even want to think about who's better. I'm gonna say yes. I know that sounds so crazy, but Jaquan Brisker is going to be a Pro Bowler next year. I think Kyler Gordon's going to develop into being a very good cornerback. We know Jalen Johnson is doing his thing, and we know Eddie Jackson has returned to his original form or close to it with having the true box safety and Jaquan Brisker next to him. If they could get a nickel in free agency who's just a tier above Kindle Vildor, well, you believe Kyler Gordon's going to stay at nickel, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have to, but yeah, I think either assumption. He's going to be a starting corner next year regardless, but yeah.
Get another guy above Kindle Vildor and you're the best secondary in football. And it's hard. Like, there's people who say, well, what the F are you talking about? Because I watched this secondary this year and they ain't look nothing like that. Yeah, because they have to cover their man for 5 seconds each play because the defensive front can't get home. I mean,
yeah, the
Khalil
secondary
Mack made
played
Prince
really,
Amukamara
really
look
well.
like a all-pro in 2018.
He did. Kyle Fuller was a Pro Bowler in 2018, I think.
He was an all-pro.
Yes, you're right. He was an all. Yeah, you're right. He was an all-pro. Yeah, I would agree. Okay. I don't know. I wanted to do something with Jack Sanborn, but I don't know.
It's a good one.
Because I remember in preseason time, me and you hopped on, and you asked me, "Do I think he could be a starting linebacker going forward?" And I said, "I don't really think so." Just because I thought that his play in the preseason was because it was against lesser competition, and
fair.
He was undrafted for a reason, all this and that. But he has flown around like this. This isn't even fact or fiction. This is just talking about Jack Sanborn. He has been all over the field. And I don't know what he's been like in coverage. Like, it's just hard to see with the freaking broadcast camera and all that. But he just looks like he's never out of position. And he's obviously tough. He can obviously tackle really well. But he covers the sidelines a lot better than a lot of people think. And it's going to hurt, Kevin. People are going to call me stupid. It's my friends included, because they think I'm really bad fanatic, which in some cases I am. I love the Chicago Bears. It's my team. It's my hometown. It's my football team. The trading away Roquan makes so much sense now, and not that it didn't before, but the fact that like you could be like, well, yeah, we traded him away because we had that guy behind him. Absolutely, at 100%, it made sense. The mold of the linebacker didn't change very much. Now, Roquan is a really good linebacker. He flies around. He's quick. He's fast. He takes on blocks. He makes tackles. I would much rather have that. I'd much rather have the contract that he's going to get not on my team at that position, and I'd much rather have a guy like Jack Sanborn at middle linebacker going forward. The Bears won both the Roquan Smith trade. Maybe this is the fact or fiction. The Bears won undoubtedly. Like, if this was a 12-round fight, we knocked him out in the 3rd round. The Eagles and the Ravens trade. Yeah, the Eagles and the Ravens trade. And I think Robert Quinn just went on IR, so that's like a 1st-round knockout. But yeah, if you combine the two together, We got like a 4th-round knockout, a 12-round fight.
Completely agree. And maybe, everyone was so confused, or maybe not confused, but, I think the issue with the whole trading Roquan thing was, well, now you're probably going to have to use assets or money on finding his replacement. But maybe, if I do believe to an extent that the coaching staff has a pretty good understanding of who's good and who's not, and has a pretty good understanding of like who's going to be a baller in the future. Maybe they knew that Sanborn, like, not saying he's going to be Roquan Smith, but maybe they knew that he'd be, good enough from a value standpoint, and that influenced their decision to trade Roquan Smith. I think that's completely a possibility. I mean, obviously, you have to take a look at those things anytime you make a trade.
That would make it an even better decision than we had already made the case for it to be, because we were already saying that trading Roquan for what they did was fine. But if you did that knowing that you had a guy that could produce along the same level and be a very similar level impact for what you got him for, it's such an even bigger W.
It's a massive W. Jack Sanborn's going to be good, man. Jack Sanborn's going to be good. His neck is ginormous, though. Holy shit, that guy's got a ginormous neck. But I think that's a good quality to have as a linebacker.
It is.
Big neck. Means, means he's in the gym, means he's one of those gritty guys. He's just a gritty guy. And he's
who
he's
else has a big neck?
Who?
Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel's got a big neck. He's a really swole dude. Something about those freaking linebacker types.
So you're really performing at Pro Day? Potentially.
As of right now. Coach Mick gave me the go ahead, yes. Coach Mick gave Mark Pantoni, my boss, the go ahead to me. But yes, I don't know if I'll be able to participate in ball drills. I don't know what I'll be doing, but I know I am 99% sure I'll be able to run the 40 and jump and bench.
Fuck, I wish I was there. I was there last year. I wish I could see that. But speaking of Mike Vrabel, I think the Titans last year, did they end up drafting Nicholas Petit-Frere? They did, right?
Yes.
Because I remember being at Pro Day and Mike Vrabel was working directly with the offensive lineman. Like, all the other coaches are standing around there, and he's out there with the little stick, like, instructing Nicholas Petit-Frere and DeJuan Jones, and I think, or not DeJuan Jones. I don't know who else was
Thayer Munford.
Thayer Munford, right. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, dude, this guy he's going to draft one of them. Like, he was so involved in the drill. But also, I was like, he was very closely watching, like, CJ Stroud during the routes. And I was like, is there a scenario where the Titans move up and take a CJ Stroud? Now, at that time, I thought it was possible. They ended up taking Malik Willis, which probably rules that out. But I was like, maybe Mike Vrabel will be looking at you now. Should throw in some balls. You never know. Who's this Kellyn Gerenstein kid?
That'd be pretty funny.
Who is this guy? No, that would be amazing. If you got to throw, dude, would you be nervous?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, hell yeah, I'd be nervous.
Throwing in front of 32 NFL teams.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't think that they'd really be watching. They'd probably see me throw a couple and be like, "Hey, who's that kid?" And be like, "That's the club football quarterback." And then they'd probably be like, "Oh," and then they'd like make sure the XFL teams are watching. But regardless, like, I don't know, Kevin. I think I can run like a 4.48 at Pro Day, which I think
you can run faster than that. When was the last time you ran a 40?
It's been a while, but the last time I ran a 40, I was 4.53. It was like
you're faster than a 4.53.
Yeah, I think so too.
You're in the 4.4 range for sure. I'd say like probably 4.44.
If I run a 4.44, somebody better be giving me a damn call. It could be the Seattle Dragons or whatever the name of their XFL team is, but somebody better give me a damn call.
Dude, yeah, dude. USFL's, I think that league is still around. They were just promoting it on Fox. XFL, that'd be fucking sick, dude. That'd be awesome. But yeah, that's an amazing opportunity for you if you get it. But yeah, Mike Vrabel, you never know. Big neck guy, Mike Vrabel. This was fun again, man. Tuesday Night Bears Therapy. Good to let it all out. make you guys feel a little bit better about your favorite team, because look, I was still a little bit upset after that loss. I was. It affects my mood more than it should. I know that it doesn't matter, and I know we secure better draft position, but I just you innately
I don't like
want
losing to the Packers either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just an innate thing. It's an innate thing. You know what I mean? It's just it's inherited inside of you, and that's just how it is. But we will be
that
back.
meme of real quick before we go, meme of Michael Jordan from The Last Dance? Well, he's like, people say he was a dictator. Da, da, da. Well, that's you, because you never won
that's
anything.
you. Because you never won it.
that's what it is for those people. They never won anything. That's why they don't feel sad when Bears lose.
Exactly. You made me think of something real quick. I'm gonna try to bait you for a TikTok clip here. I don't know what I should do. I don't know if I should have you rank wide receivers or if I you want to rank more wide receivers to get killed on social media?
Yeah,
No.
fuck it, let's do it.
Well, okay, we'll do that. We'll do both real quick. We'll do this in under 5 minutes or whatever. The first thing is Justin Fields a better rusher of the football than Michael Vick?
Yes.
Get center into the camera and say it to the camera that Justin Fields is a better rusher of the football than Michael Vick, and get a little explanation as to why.
Okay.
Here he goes.
Justin Fields is a better runner of the football at the quarterback position than Michael Vick. It is tough, and I grew up on Michael Vick, and Michael Vick is one of the guys that made me want to play quarterback. And obviously my style of play, for people on TikTok who are going to watch this and be like, who the fuck are you? You'll I don't know, just DM me or something. I'll shoot you my highlight tape. But I play like that, right? But Justin Fields, his ability, and it's different now in the NFL, right? The quarterback run game is a little bit more used. It just is. It's more prominent with guys in the league, with Kyler and Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, blah, blah, blah. But his ability to extend the play, his ability to just make magic. Not that Michael Vick didn't do these things. Michael Vick did the things that Justin Fields is doing right now. But for him to do it this early, for him to run away from NFL guys week after week in the NFL, in today's NFL, not early 2000s NFL, which had good athletes, but the guys on defense are just better now. There's Quay Walker, who's out there running 4.4s, from the University of Georgia, and there's guys in the back end trying to run him down like Jeff Okudah, who was a really good athlete in a blue chip corner from Ohio State, Justin Fields' teammate. He's running away from these guys. He's making Joe Barry literally could not have played Justin Fields' touchdown run more perfect. They had a scrape exchange. The defensive end came down. It was a really, and I implore people to go subscribe to JT O'Sullivan, the quarterback school's Patreon, and watch that video. It was a really weird play. It wasn't even like a read or a power read, zone read, any of that. It was really weird. But Justin Fields kept the ball. That's all that matters. And the tackle vacated the side that Justin Fields was replacing. So the defensive end, what you do for quarterbacks like that, ideally, is you scrape over the top, you replace, right? So the defensive end comes down, he takes away the option to give the ball. You have another guy who in this case was the nickel or safety, one of the two. We all saw the play. Came down, perfect scrape exchange. That's exactly how it's done. I think I said Joe Barry. I don't think that's the Packers defensive coordinator. That is his name? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So just make a miss, and he runs away from everyone. Then he split two guys and runs away. This is just Michael Vick made a living off of scrambling and making guys miss after getting past the line of scrimmage, and that's great. And he was great at it. He inspired so many of us. He inspired guys like Justin Fields. He inspired guys who are in the league today. But
absolutely,
Justin Fields does it better, and so does Lamar. Those are the two. It goes. Lamar has the history, so I'll give it to him. But this time next year, Justin Fields should be the undisputed best runner at the quarterback position in the NFL. Shit, the guy's the only guy in the history of the game to have 3 career rushing touchdowns over 50 yards. And he's done it in a fucking month. He's done it in a month, Kevin, in a month. And he should have 4.
He should. The Vikings one got taken away. Oh, and he might get another one. There's 4 games left. Mm-hmm. He could easily get another one. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. All right, well, there's the TikTok bait. We'll see how TikTok reacts to that one. All right, now I'm going to really put you in a coffin here. Rank these wide receivers. Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Devonta Adams, Stephon Diggs. Through 13 weeks of the NFL season, rank those 5 wide receivers.
This is good because I think these are the best 5 receivers in football right now. Tyreek Hill won because I think his skill set is just not replaceable. Even with his teammate Jalen Waddle, Tyreek is just everything. Catching the football, downfield, intermediate, short. He just is not replaceable. Even though he's as short as he is, freaking midget, can't replace him. Number 1 receiver in football right now. Number 2 is Justin Jefferson. Number 3 is Devonta Adams. Number 4 is Jamar Chase. Number 5 is Stephon Diggs.
Okay, so address the people who are gonna say you ranked Jamar Chase number 1 against a similar group earlier in the year, and now
Those
he
guys
is number
are
4.
And Devontae and Justin Jefferson and Stephon. I don't remember. We did 2 rankings. I don't remember who was in what, but like if you were asking me going forward, who would I want as my receiver, I would take Jamar Chase because he's younger than Devontae Adams. But right now, who's playing better and who's meant more to their team, it's Devontae Adams. And obviously Justin Jefferson, I don't think I need to speak on him. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's going to be the highest paid receiver in football very soon. Ridiculous. So, yeah, and I think Stephon Diggs is on that level, but I think and this is a crazy thing to say, but this is how crazy the wide receiver position is in the NFL. Out of those 5, Stephon Diggs is the worst athlete. He's the yeah. He is the least athletic of those 5. As
Correct.
Good of a route runner and as good of a catcher of the football he is. He's the least athletic of those 5.
Correct. You're 100% correct. Interesting.
TikTok
there you
might
have
disagree with you, but yeah, I'm correct.
Yeah. You got to keep putting that at the end. I know what TikTok's going to say, but I'm right.
Disclaimer.
I'm right.
That's all it is.
Whatever you guys think, all that matters is I'm
yeah.
Right. Good stuff, man. Again, appreciate you guys hopping in here Tuesday Night Bears Therapy. We know it's late, but we love doing this, man. We love just taking a little bit of time to let loose, more of a looser conversation. Just kind of see where the NFL talk takes us, and here we are. So we'll be back next week. Actually, we're gonna work hard for you guys to get a guest for the next couple of days. You're supposed to have Jared Payton on today. Something came up with him. Always does. It's a busy fucking guy. We're hoping we can get him on the next couple of days. If not, we'll get somebody. Maybe Tom Thayer will come back on. He said he'd link back up with us earlier at some point during the season. So I'll reach out to him. But appreciate you guys coming in here for Bears Nation podcast. For myself, Kevin Lapka, for Kellyn Gerenstein. This has been Tuesday Night Bears Therapy. We'll see you guys all next week.